Guten Abend. Здравствуйте. Welcome to the presentation of SHY PLUMBER, the anti-war journal of art and anti-art. We would like it to be rather informal conversation during which everyone can express opinions, give comments, just participate in a joint discussion rather than performance on stage. We should confess that we actually do not really know what the audience of Panda is. I mean, like the feeling of it and expectations. So we feel a little bit like our name, SHY PLUMBER. So please correct us if we kind of suddenly go wrong direction, or it's like a stop being interesting for you. So let us introduce ourselves first. My name is Ilya Orlov. I'm an artist and a scholar in art theory. I'm of Russian origin. I was born in Leningrad in 1973, so I'm 49 years old. And I live in Helsinki, Finland, since 2015. So I moved there after Crimea invasion, which is, in fact, beginning of Ukrainian war. That's it. So my basic interest and what I do is art as a practitioner. So I'm making exhibitions. I also write about art, but mostly not that about art, but about art theory and art theory itself. And my basic interest is the tradition of the avant-garde and conceptual art, and criticism of contemporary art. So how contemporary art can be criticized, not from the right-wing side, as they usually do, but from the left, not necessarily from Marxist position, but from the left of art itself. This is it. This is what I can say about myself. Here we have co-editors of the journal, and I am a co-editor of this journal. So here are my colleagues, Matthew Cohen and Andrei Ustinov. So probably we start from Matthew. So Matthew, can you say a few words about yourself?
Yeah, thank you, Ilya, and thanks for having us, Panda. We're happy to be here. Quickly to introduce myself, I'm originally from New Zealand. I'm a visual artist, and I'm based in Berlin, and I'm also a doctoral researcher at University of the Arts in Helsinki, a colleague of Ilya's in Helsinki. My artwork is working with traditions and folklore, usually. So how can contemporary artists work with traditional culture? This is the subject of my artwork and research. And yes, I am a co-editor of SHY PLUMBER. And today we are mainly talking about issue 3 of SHY PLUMBER. But let's introduce Andrei.
My name is Andrei Ustinov. I'm artist too. I meet these both guys in different time. Ilya a little bit earlier, met later than actually since I start to cooperate with them with this new anti-war issue. I'm media and performance artist, and I'm working public place and public space, and I'm dealing with such issues as privacy and publicity, power. I was asked first from Ilya to join in the editorial team of this journal. It was 1 month, I think, after the war began, and we had a pretty short conversation. We exchanged our meanings about what is going on right now, and I said yes for this invitation to join for this issue, because it was exactly what I was looking for, and I'm pretty happy that I said yes, and that I took part in the editorial board of this last issue.
Yes, actually, what's striking, you haven't mentioned that we got in touch soon after war began, and it was because Andrei responded to my statement that I sent the first day the war began to my contacts. I'm not on social media. I just do not use it. I'm kind of too nervous for this, and I just sent via email to my contacts, and Andrei responded, and we started talking. Yeah, or you called me. I can't remember. So Andrei in Berlin. I'm in Helsinki. I'm also in contact all the time with Matthew, who's my colleague and friend also. So it sort of spontaneously kind of grown into that kind of joint project. But project is a little bit older than the wartime. It was invented in 2020. Matthew probably a little bit later we'll say a few words about that. But have you heard about the journal before? Actually, some of you know. But do you actually follow some art journals? Or not really? So journals, actually, it's a little bit like a specific thing that, I mean, art journals that of interest for art practitioners or let's say art critics. Yeah, but I should say, but this journal is not, differs radically from what you imagine as journal, as what is called art journal, because there is no reviews. So it doesn't say anything about what is going on their exhibition, was it good or bad, or what is the tendency on the art scene, or whatever. So it's not like art forum or Iflux or something like that. No, it's of totally different nature. The thing is, it stemmed from like artist side, not from the side of art critic. So idea was initially to make a journal which would be a way of kind of artistic voice, and the journal as a medium itself. So just imagine that the spread is 2 walls of a gallery of museum. So the work done, like published there, is the kind of primary form of it. So it's not like we published reproductions of some work. So the journal itself is a space where it sort of obtains its existence. So this is it. So and it could be textual contribution. It could be essay, an article. It could be found document, even found some historical thing that it not very much focused in. But it could be an image created for a journal, and kind of obtaining its form there, or it could be something in between. So the idea is to blur these borders. I actually really dislike sort of scientisms. When lots of it in art, they say like it's laboratory, like to make like it sound cool. But when they say experiment in art, we just say that it's something that never happened before. So it's totally different from science. So I would wipe away all like this scientism from art. So I would say it's avant-garde tradition to make something that would be new. And the basic thing for this journal, basic idea, is it stems from tradition of conceptual art. Do you know what conceptual art is? Why it is called conceptual? Any ideas?
Like you have some concept and you make something and you clear it with a concept.
Yeah.
Ilya, maybe you can
concept.
give you a definition, the telephone definition.
Yeah, telephone definition is really good definition. This is actually is Walter de Maria, and then conceptual artist of the late 60s, American artist, and then Komaran Melamed, New York artist of Soviet origin, let's say. Conceptual art is the art that can be told by phone. So, for example, Mona Lisa can be told by phone. So you have to see it. Yeah, but conceptual art is art that can be told by phone. So I can tell you what is this piece. It doesn't mean that it is not important to implement it, to make it kind of real. But what is told by phone, what I tell you about this, I'm telling about how it looks. You see the moment. So we move in art from this domain of aesthetic, sort of feeling, emotions, to a domain of reason, to a domain of philosophy. So we bridging philosophy, theory, and art in one sort of cluster. It's like a knot. But in fact, conceptual art called conceptual because it concerns on concept of art, meaning that it poses a question, what art actually is, what makes art art. So this makes conceptual art conceptual. This is the only reason why it's called conceptual art. So how it differs from contemporary art, for example, contemporary art is just an administrative term. So it's introduced in the beginning of 90s, and it's just all art somehow ruled by international bureaucracy, art bureaucracy, that's it. So there is no concept at all. Our idea was to somehow separate this into two domains. So here we have conceptual art, which is art concerned about its essence, about its concept, it's about what it actually is. And art as a sort of administrative umbrella term, contemporary art. So normally it merged into one. So conceptual art, yeah, there was pop art, what is it? Abstract, minimal, abstract appreciation, conceptual, and it's all old. It's total bollocks. Sorry, my bad British English. In fact, this is the real, unfinished, incomplete alternative to it. All right, and when the war started, the journal, this project that was concerned about art, faced the very challenging moment of clashing with the question of how art, being concerned about this sort of its own ontological question of its own ontology, of what it actually is, how this art can respond to the situation of war. In other words, the question we faced is how to be political without retiring to pre-avant-garde art practices. Meaning, what actually makes new art, let's say art after avant-garde, differ from the art of the past? What's the key difference? Two things. So first thing is separation of idea from aesthetic. Because conflation of art with aesthetic still on in art criticism very much, in contemporary art theory, especially postmodernist, is one of like a key evil sources of all misunderstanding of art at all. But what avant-garde did is is break with aesthetic as a allegedly integral, inseparable part of art. Very simple example. You probably know Robert Rauschenberg's piece called Erased de Kooning Drawing. So how it was made. They were friends and neighbors like studio neighbors. So the studios were in the same building. And Rauschenberg asked de Kooning to give him one of his drawings for creating another work. So he agreed, and Robert Rauschenberg literally erased all the drawing altogether from a sheet of paper and named it Erased de Kooning Drawing. So by this gesture, a piece of art created literally, but by erasing aesthetic property, aesthetic feature of another work. So this means, this proves, and it's cast iron proof, absolutely strong, that art and aesthetic, they must be separated. So it's different. So to be art must, to be art don't have to be aesthetic. So this is the first thing that differs today's art of the avant-garde from the art of the past. That art stopped being necessarily aesthetic. And the second thing is invention of abstraction, because before to be art, art should be a depiction of something. So the idea of the avant-garde, the second breakthrough idea of avant-garde is that art to be art is not necessarily be representative. So representation and break with aesthetics. So the question we encountered was how to be political without retiring to pre-avant-garde practices of being representational and being aesthetic. This is it. And this journal is a result of this quite hard challenge. Sorry for this maybe too long introduction of the background of the issue. Yeah, so please maybe something was somehow unclear or like awkwardly formulated. Yeah, so I would invite you please to participate in our conversation, and then colleagues maybe give more comments and their considerations.
I was thinking at this point maybe we would make the only little formal part of our presentation, which is to read the editorial of this issue.
All right.
So Ilya will read the first part, and
yeah, it's just a page, let's say. So I'm not going to go through. And Matthew, can you put please the website again? So if you're interested, please go there. And you know what? It's actually the journal that has a sort of a threshold of, let's say, like getting in. Because you know it's the format initially is not printed. We printed actually 5 copies just now, but it was published in August already. It's initially PDF, and the idea is this PDF online. It looks like as if journal existed before, but it was scanned. Printed journal was scanned and then put online. So this looks a little bit like pardon. So this looks a little bit like academic journals. One supposed to sort of work with very boring, some old boring stuff. Yeah, you need it for your dissertation or something. So you open it, scroll, postpone. I will read it later. But in fact, it's really easy to read, and there's lots of pictures and there's some poetry. So it's not really involved. Like you really need to go then to Wikipedia to check what is that and something like that. Yeah, that's it. So let's say it's our manifesto. There's a special genre, manifesto. Yeah, we try to avoid somehow this cliche of, you know, like leftist, like a little bit pumped up pathetic style, despite it's really leftist, in fact. Let me just read it out loud. This journal was initially founded as an independent art periodical, maintaining the tradition of artist-run avant-gardist and conceptualist magazines, such as The Blind Man, Wish, Art Language, and The Fox. It was meant as critical counterpoint to contemporary art, which we understood as today's form of what Peter Bürger, this is a German theorist, very important, called the institution of art, and Joseph Kossuth simply called junta, a conservative culture administrative apparatus that only aestheticizes progressive and emancipatory ideas, turning them into decorative buzzwords that veil global capitalism while getting along unproblematically with corrupt and nepotist cultural institutions of the most reactionary political regimes. After all, international contemporary art organizations such as eFlux have been happily rubbing shoulders with Putin's oligarchs institutions Garage and VIC Foundation up until the war started. This is true. And you can check how many curators have a really nice life there. Yeah. And now it's still present and all fine. When we began in 2020, I mean SHY Plumber, we mean SHY Plumber, we unfortunately did not realize what we do now. All the avant-gardist periodicals listed above, that Blind Man, Wish, Art Language, The Fox, that we had assumed as our predecessors, either were or soon became wartime journals, wartime art journals. For The Blind Man, 1917, it was the First World War. For Wish, 1922, it was the last stage of the civil war in Russia. And for Art Language, 69, let's say, and onwards, and The Fox, 1975, the Vietnam War. Now, SHY Plumber has been caught up in War II, the war in Ukraine. This issue is both a response to this and our statement in support of Ukraine. However, it is not about just this particular journal issue in the sense of what is usually called a thematic edition. It is something more. The journal itself becomes an anti-war, anti-fascist, anti-Putin, anti-Putinist, and ultimately, until Russia is no longer ruled by Putinism, an anti-Russia art periodical. We realize that art is a form of absolute spirit, though a lower form, as art, by its nature, is, it's all quotations, thinking of imagery, which means it is not capable of reaching the level of the logic of philosophical thought. So we sort of retelling Hegel, philosophy of fine arts. We also are aware that any claim by art for real political significance in bourgeois society can only be self-illusory because, quotation, without surrendering its claim to truth, art cannot simply deny the autonomy status and pretend that it has a direct effect. It's Peter Bürger theory of the avant-garde, we quote him. The next. However, we believe that art, unlike mass culture, is both autonomous and fate or fact social, so social fact. And it takes a position to present society through its mere existence. This is Theodor Adorno thought. End of quotation. In this, art is both, this is very important, this is one of the central things for our journal. In this sense, art is both part of culture and its opposite. For art is what we do, and culture is what is done
to us. This is Donald Judd. End of quotation. Therefore, art, despite being a weaker form, is the only instance that can resist culture from within. So, very important for us to separate art from culture this way. So, I, for example, never consider myself as cultural worker. So we are enemies, in a way. Art against culture. Not in the sense that like a being sort of a banal like a way, like a just simple simplification of idea of punk, right? No, this is a critical instance which exists within culture. So I will just finalize this. So for us now, this is how art must be counterpositioned to both the cultural and political culture of imperialism, chauvinism, revanchism, fascism, and all forms of hatred and inhumanity. This is the political credo of the present journal. That's it. Yeah. PDF. No. We don't go with statement from Russian participants.
Okay.
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay, so now it falls to me to read the second part of our editorial. Statement from contributors and editors of Russian origin or citizenship. It is of importance that this anti-war, anti-Putin, anti-Russianness art journal is set forth by an editorial board that includes artists of Russian origin living outside Russia, more precisely that is in Finland and Germany, including the contribution of some living in Russia. The declared Russian anti-Russianness of those of us who are of Russian origin might seem paradoxical, but it stems logically from our desire to resist Russian fascism, racism, nationalism, colonial chauvinism, and imperialist revanchism on all levels. This includes our cultural selves, a reinvention of our very identity as radical anti-Russist. Putinist supporters of war will most likely call our stance Russophobic. They are wrong. We are not phobic of Russianness. We are ashamed and disgusted with the Putinist Russianness, which is merely a direct historical consequence of an uncritically processed Soviet and Russian imperial past. So as artists of Russian origin, we stand for the collective responsibility of all civilians of Russian Federation. And as long as this collective responsibility is not recognized by Russian civil society, we question the concept of the Russian nation-state and Russian national identity. This means that we insist on the radical, in-depth decolonization and de-Putinization of Russian culture, both culturally and politically. This also means that we strongly condemn any discrimination or unjust accusations towards anyone on the grounds of origin, nationality, or citizenship, including those of Russian origin, nationality, or citizenship. Our anti-Russianness is the deliberate parallel to the anti-Deutsch movement among radical German leftists after German reunification. As the anti-Deutsch movement questioned reunification because of the danger of the emergence of a new German nationalism, we reject the concept of a new Russian nation-state after the collapse of the Soviet Union. Putin's revanchism is an attempt to restore the pre-Soviet model of a Russian nation-state, built on a model of the former Russian Empire. The only chance to avoid such a development in the future is to drop altogether the idea of political identity on the basis of national identity. We dream of a new free society upon the ruins of tyranny and of the ultimate liberation of just under 200 ethnic groups and over 100 languages and cultures that inhabit the territory currently called the Russian Federation. We fully stand in solidarity with Ukraine. We accept the impossibility of being invited at the moment to any shared cultural and political platforms with Ukrainians, as we must first do something to deserve it. However, we would be greatly appreciative of Ukrainian and other artists of the world if they wish to contribute to our initiative in the future. So, maybe now we can actually show some of the works in the journal.
Or someone probably would like to comment or question or ask.
Perhaps there's some comments or questions.
Yeah.
Yeah. At this point, yeah. You can use your mic.
Yeah. So please think about what we can discuss next, what probably sparked your interest or about what wasn't clear enough. We would be happy to develop or can we pass the microphone to...
No.
Yes. Okay.
Obligatory. Okay, thank you. Thank you for the presentation, but as no one here has seen the journal either in paper form, or most of us haven't seen it on the internet, could you please tell us maybe more, introduce us the contents? Who are your authors? How do you choose them? How do you communicate together?
Yeah. So maybe Matthew will pick up what he actually started in a way. So let us go through just briefly, because if you're interested, you can just look at it later. Online, it's available. Just through some of highlights, or let's say some content.
Yeah. So here is table of contents. So it shows the full list of the artists and writers and contributors to this issue. We won't go through one by one every single contribution, but we will just show a selection of some of the works here. The first couple of pages are editorial, which we've just gone through. I will show the first work here. The title is A Dead Whale or a Stove Boat. A photograph taken on 24th of February 2022 at the Canterbury Museum, Christchurch, New Zealand. And it's by Jana Muller. So this is the image. Just to say a few words. The title, A Dead Whale or a Stove Boat, is a double quotation. So it's the title of this scene, this diorama scene in the Canterbury Museum in Christchurch, New Zealand. And that scene is named after a quotation from Moby Dick by Herman Melville. And the quotation means a dead whale or a stove boat, that either the whale will die or the boat will sink. So it's
yeah. So the important thing is the date there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean how it dated.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
24th.
22nd February. Yeah.
Yeah. 24th February.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe we introduce Andrei's work briefly. No, Andrei, can you say a couple of words? This is we also contributors. We're not only editors of a journal. We also contributed with our works to this issue. This one is Andrei Ustinov's.
Yeah, all of us, we are three. We are editors, but we also are contributors. That's there is work by Matthew, by Ilya, and my work. And this is actually my work. It's the work called Wings and Prayer. And what do you see? It's a broken smartphone by Huawei, and everything what you can see on this on the display, on the broken display on this smartphone is the rest of the Google map of Moscow. But this rest is not just the rest, but it looks like three airplanes. And these airplanes, I used the random models of NATO airplanes. And it's Wings and the Prayer. I reused or reenact the title from Foxtrot, British Foxtrot, which was translated in Russian in the time of Second World War. I think the people from Russian-speaking countries knows it's the best, and probably the many people with different background knows it too. It's what a show, what a fight. We are really hit our target for tonight. Through their own motor gun, we can still carry on, coming in on a wing and the prayer. It's a song of the bomber pilots who are coming home after the air fights. And actually, I want for me it was interesting to connect these two wars, where the Russian the song was translated in Russian. In Russians, it will be singing like Mulitim. I forgot right now. Okay, it's a matter. It was a very important propaganda song in the time of Second World War, and the Soviet Union was in an alliance with United States and Great Britain against Nazi Germany, and they share the same propaganda motifs with each other, because they were on fighting Nazism. But now the history is turned in this way that the Russia, it turns to the country what should be bombed by the Allied against the Nazis. And this kind of transformation was for me very interesting. Okay, we can go on.
Yes, sorry, I was a little bit like absent just because it turns out we are having now technical problems, because lots of people, our colleagues, contributors to the journal, who were supposed to be online with us via Zoom, messaged me saying that they cannot connect for some reason. Maybe you were a host of this meeting and you didn't press some buttons over it? Andrei? Could it be that? Okay. Okay. So they said like a host, Andrei Ustinov, cannot, doesn't give permissions of Zoom meeting.
I'm not a host. Host is Panda. Panda is host.
All right. Maybe it was the wrong link I sent to them because I copied from what you sent me via WhatsApp. All right. It's very fascinating, I know.
Can you send them different link?
Um,
I can't imagine actually.
yeah, so no presentation without scandal.
No, I think.
No, we cannot go with it now. If Panda kindly solve it, or I don't know.
I think we are fine to take a little break. It would be nice to have the contributors. I mean.
Yeah. But you know, I know what you're going to escape. So we won't have audience enough.
Oh no! I hope it wouldn't. Take
No.
I don't know.
All right.
Wait a minute.
So let's do the.
Spartak right now.
But how can I speak with Spartak?
Call him.
To call him?
Yeah, of course.
No.
Yeah, go out and call him.
No. He would call himself. It's not Spartak who's messaging. So.
So I will scroll through Spartak's work as we.
All right, I'll talk to our technician specialist, Daniel.
Yep.
Yeah, we take a little pause then while we try and sort out getting some of the contributors to the journal online. Yeah.
Yeah, this is one of the works by Spartak, who is living in Finland also, and we are hoping that he will connect us. Now we have some technical issues. He sent us a serial of the works. I think six of them. And all six of them are collages manipulated by Photoshop. He just used footage from the Russian TV propaganda and create from this footage this kind of muster in English is the ornament, and so of course the best way if Spartak will tell himself about it, but from my point of view, from my position as a member of the editorial team, I can just say, tell my things about my thoughts about it. Why I like his works. Maybe we can show the different one. Yeah. It's from one perspective, it can look like a glitch, technical glitch, computer glitch. That's just a technical trouble on the display, on the graphic cards, that we can really recept what we're looking for, and from different perspective, it's it's this ornament. It's something what make this propaganda narrative to something sinless. Also, what lose his content.
So I think we take a little pause at this point. Yeah.
I'm sending now the link and then it will be fine.
But we take a little pause now for a few minutes. Okay.
Okay. Elina, can you hear us?
Yes, I can. Hello, finally.
Hey.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we'll apologize for these technical problems. It's really very awkward situation. It just sometimes happen. Okay, so who is with us? Elina Saloranta, artist and researcher from Helsinki, and Panos Balaminas, artist and I believe storyteller, writer from Helsinki. Probably some other participants of the SHY PLUMBER anti-war journal of art and anti-art issue 3 will join us. And now can I ask you kindly, Elina, to say a few words about your contribution to SHY PLUMBER, because we have now finally opportunity to hear it from the first hand from the author.
Okay, yes. Can you maybe show it on the screen to the audience? Yes. So,
yes. Can we show the PowerPoint on the screen? No?
A little bit louder also.
okay. Can you hear me now? Yes. Okay, good. So, so my contribution is a letter from 1905. It was written by a Finnish singer called Elli Forsell Rosentale, who was living in Riga at that time. And I'm working on Elli's letters in my postdoctoral research. And when the war started, I felt like I could not continue with the work that I was doing. It had nothing to do with war, and it felt totally meaningless. So I remembered this letter by Elli that she had written in 1905 during the so-called 1905 revolution in Russia, where she was at home expecting her second child, writing to her sister about some violence happening in other parts of Latvia, and anticipating that to happen and to reach Riga, talking about fleeing from home and so. And this resonated with the news from Ukraine. So I remembered this letter, and I went back to the archive and picked the letter, and then without even knowing what to do with it, somehow it just spoke to me. And then later on, when Ilya told me about this publication, I thought that this letter might work as my contribution. So that was the story behind it, and you can read the letter on your own from the publication. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Elina.
So the letter is published in Finnish, the originally written in Finnish, and the English translation.
So maybe we can go to Panos. Yeah. Can you hear us, Panos?
Yes. I could hear you, but I had it mute, so now, can you hear me?
Yes. Yes, Panos.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah. I had it mute, so.
Perfect.
Yes. So hello from here as well. So my contribution is actually a painting which depicts a performative act, which is actually the hologram of Sergei Prokofiev appearing in front of, in one actually of the gates of Cecilienhof Palace in Potsdam. And it's actually the place where basically the division of Germany was signed in 1945. So in this place, I'm just like placing in a way kind of like the portrait of like Sergei Prokofiev blocking the entrance to actually the area where Stalin, Joseph Stalin, was actually residing to make all these signatures with Churchill and Roosevelt. And actually, it was actually very, very interesting to mention that Joseph Stalin died on the same day like Sergei Prokofiev, which is actually the 5th of March of 1953. But the whole nation was actually talking about Joseph Stalin's death and not Prokofiev's death at all, which was actually reported right after Joseph Stalin's moves. So, but then another thing that actually is important to mention is that Donetsk airport is named after Sergei Prokofiev, which was actually mainly the place of his origin, which is again a place of actually conflict between Ukraine and Russia, if it belongs to actually Russia or if it's really Ukrainian. So when Ilya invited me to make a contribution, I thought that this would be possibly the most suitable work for this specific issue. And yeah, it's a painting made in colors, but then now presented in black and white, as you see. So if Ilya wants to ask something or to add something, this is more or less the whole work about.
Yeah, thanks, Panos, and Elena too. And I have a question for both of you about how you went about the task of making a contribution for the journal. Did you what was your thought process as you came to a decision about a suitable contribution? Was it negotiated, or did you have a work already in mind? Was it a long process, a short process? Maybe Elena can go first, and then Panos.
Yes, for me it was a very short process. I met Ilya at an exhibition opening in Helsinki, and we just started talking about things. And I told him about this letter, which I had already, searched in the archive, and I knew that I would do something with the letter. I just didn't have a context for it. So the publication became the context. That was a very simple process.
Thanks. And Panos, was this a work that existed already, or did you?
Yeah, so I forgot actually to mention that this work was completed in November 2021. So when Ilya asked me to propose me to make a contribution for this issue, specific issue, I thought that this would be the most suitable work to really present, especially because of this person, which in a way coincides with this specific region, which is actually a place of conflict. So I think that it could be like the most, in a way, suitable work to even make a reference. Actually, for me, the most important reference was like this absurdity of like having a person dead for 5 days, which is such a remarkable and important composer, completely forgotten for 5 days and actually not even mentioning at all. And then his death was mentioned right after 5 days after Stalin's death in the morning period. And then for me, in a way, the way I presented was like more a way of kind of like resolving this problem of these 5 days. So then in this case, it appears in a form of a hologram. And I also believe that this was also like a symbolic act to kind of like add into this specific issue.
Thank you. Thanks, Panos. And I might actually ask the same question of Andre, because your work actually was created specifically for the journal, right? So your process was a little bit different.
But not only there's Ilya's work also, actually.
No. It came after the war, of course. It was invented after the war, but not specifically for the journal. Just having journal in mind, but at that time I wasn't sure to make journal is possible. And just using the opportunity, I also wanted to thank our dear contributors for what they did, because without them it wouldn't be possible at all. And this is the people who shaped it with their works. And what was extremely important is how it all started sort of working together as a sort of one united mechanism, because there was statement, there were works, and they somehow got together, and we like as if had this engine of the journal going. It was really great, and it was a, I guess, encounter of like a clash of the art, of thinking of what art can do, and the circumstances under which this question is posed on you. So I guess this was the main challenge of the situation, and its sort of essence. So my work, yeah, it wasn't done for a journal, but in case of Andrei, it's really important that it was designed completely, right? Like during the editing process, in a way.
As I remember, if we started to work on this issue, we had a general conversation that the most important thing not to create a special work for the issue, but to participate, to join under the cover of our manifest, to join the statement, to join the concept of the journal. And actually, it was something what make the work for everybody easier. That we could say, okay, we have no time, we have to react fast as possible, and I could actually contribute with different work, but it was just personal decision for me. I had a feeling I have to create something really special for this issue, but still I share this general concept of the journal. That's the important is not the work itself, but the participation. That's the joining of the statement.
Yeah, I would just pick up on that to give my point of view, that this idea that the contributors to the journal might somehow suddenly change their practice to make some kind of anti-war placard or something like that. That no, that's not what we're hoping for or interested in this journal. That is exactly what Andrei has said. That by contributing to this journal, your name is under the title of anti-war publication. So this is a statement. And by continuing to practice and contributing your work to this journal, it is full disclosure that it's anti-war statement.
Yeah. So the basic idea is actually the truth is that the contributors to contribute to the journal must stay themselves. So by the invitation, by the gesture of inviting, we are saying also contributors that we want them as they are. So we want what they do, not to adjust their practice to the journal, but to bring their thoughts, to bring their stances to there. And this is political, because actually what the war wants, that what Putinists want, they want people not to be themselves, with their imperialism, with their racism, with their homophobia. They want people stopped being themselves. And our stance is the opposite, and it's very structured. So it's actually, in a way, how politics, how the political issue, the question and questioning was in the very heart of the project. And the idea was how to be political, because we don't have a illusion that the journal or artworks can really stop the war and can really influence society much. No, we know our
I would wish.
yeah,
I would wish.
yeah, of course, but you know so our power is very limited. We almost powerless in the sense. But the point was to find a way to be political without adjusting ourselves to some sort of style. Because it's not like everyone can be, for example, political caricaturist or artivist, art activist. But lots of people who do art really want to express a certain stance. And this is a sort of moral and ethical imperative. So the mission of a journal was in a way to try to invent the platform where it is possible, where it would be possible. So I would like to invite our colleagues, guests, to say a few words about their impression of the journal, or probably ask questions.
Ilya, can you hear me? Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, Elena.
First, maybe a few words from Elena, and then...
I think somebody else is going. Okay, I can say mine later.
Yeah, please, Elena, please.
Go ahead, Elena.
Okay, I just wanted to thank you, Ilya, for that, the thing that you just said about being oneself, that the act of being oneself can be a political act. I think that's really wonderful. So thank you for that.
Thanks, Elena. Yeah.
I just wanted to. My name is Fred. I'm first of all, I think it's amazing to have everything taking place in the journal and use this medium also as in PDF form, accessible to anybody, as a exhibition and ideation space. And I just want to break the ice, asking about the choice of black and white as opposed to colors in the PDF form. I thought it's really nice to give the impression that it was a printed thing that has been scanned again. Yes, I just thought to ask this small question at the starter.
You mean just aesthetically, or?
Yes, because technically all the screens are in color now, so there must be some kind of choice process behind it.
Please keep the mic.
Okay.
You can probably pass to someone else, but
yes.
we have plenty of mics here.
Okay.
I want to say something to this comment. For me actually this topic is a topic for discussion. Is our discussion in our team, because I join your opinion. I like aesthetically and conceptual this idea of the PDF journal, black white kind of scanned copy of the real journal. It's a cool, but different side of this concept is what for me is the open question. If we that's what we are doing now. We try to bring this journal to people, make presentation, to tell about it. That means for us is still be important that the journal be public. We will be published, and we will come to people. And this PDF format is actually not for this aim. It's not the best way to show the journal. And we actually, that's what we made. We made this test copy of this digital PDF. Now we have a real one, and I would wish that the journal will be real. We will print it in the future, also in the future. But then, after we will begin to print it, we will lose this cool idea of the digital PDF. Yeah.
We should mention that the journal actually. We should mention that the journal actually is fully independent. So there is not a penny invested from anyone. I mean, apart from us, for just building the website or something like minor expenses. So it's not supported, and it was in a way principal possession because we wanted it to be. To avoid any possible sort of even suspicion of that our stance, which is ethical and political stance, is on some dependence on some third party. So this was principle, and partly this, let's say, look of a journal. The choice of black and white and PDF also stemmed from this idea of independence.
Yeah, I'll answer this question from maybe a different point of view. This limiting the journal to only black and white is like this form of constraint, and in some ways that's quite strongly connected to kind of the artistic process, the form and the constraint of the work. And in its simplest form, I relate it to an idea that comes from folklore. And one definition of what is folklore is to ask the question, can you do it now? So it's the most simplest thing. So a blank A4 page and a pencil, or something that's extremely simple. So from that point of view, it kind of makes sense. Just ultra simple black and white PDF form. Yeah. But it doesn't make it easier. In a lot of ways, it makes it quite a lot harder. Yeah.
Perhaps someone else also comment, or
Thank you.
Yeah, please.
I had a question. You mentioned before that that these are original works, original artworks, not reproduction of artworks, and it remembers me artist books. And I wanted to ask you how or if you differentiate it from, let's call it classic artist books, your journal, because you call it a journal, not like a collective artist book or whatever. Why is it called like that? Because it has text inside or not?
Thanks. It's actually you brought the very, very precise point. Can we show? We actually have something like on the sleeve in stock. A few images from the presentation of sort of our predecessors. Actually, it's not a very original idea. So everything is of course stolen. very much indebted this to the classic avant-garde, like a self-made artist around magazines, such as most famous example probably is this. It's a journal, like a self-published journal made by Marcel Duchamp and his friends and lovers in New York in 1917, called The Blind Man. This issue is probably the most famous, but it's actually not really famous. This is a really tricky thing. Contemporary art is a sort of a practice and a sphere of art, an administrative system that does not remember its roots. So this is probably completely forgotten in a way. But this is very important thing. So it's probably one of the first examples of journals made by artists completely to represent their new ideas. And the ideas was, of course, the idea of, as Duchamp himself puts it, is it possible to do work that would not be art? So this is the idea of ready-made. So the idea of a break was aesthetic and the aesthetics. Maybe we can scroll to some other page. Matthew, can I ask you kindly? Yeah, this is how the journal actually, the look of this journal. In a way, SHY Plumber designed a little bit a reference to this. So, and if we go further, the important journal mentioned in the editorial as a sort of source of our inspiration is Vish, which is probably the first ever project of contemporary art, or let's say non-classical art that broke with the past, as a principally international art. Because the statement of the journal was, from now, art must be international. And this is the first art journal published on 3 languages simultaneously. I mean, in the same issue, like 3 columns was French, German, Russian. Published in Berlin, by the way. Yeah, can we scroll down a little bit? Yeah, here's the statement, actually. And you see the name of the journal on 3 languages. And if we go further, so you see this differs much from artist book. Like an artist book as a genre. So artist book is, first of all, it's unique thing. This is periodical. So artist book, it's sort of the thing that done as it's like a topic. You know, you have a topic and you have a book. So it's a project, but it's not an institution. But journal is something more. It goes towards institution or para-institution or whatever. Yeah, and we can see the conceptual art as a continuation of the avant-garde and the alternative to contemporary art. And another self-made journal is Art Language. Unfortunately, as for Blind Man and other journals by Duchamp, PDFs all available online, it's really easy to find. Strange thing with Art Language, you can find some pictures, but not the journal itself, despite the periodical was quite, the lifespan was quite long, a few decades even. Despite the most important issues were published late 60s, 69, let's say 75. And then, can you scroll a bit, Matthew, could you please? Yeah, some covers. So this is a look of it. Yeah, and then the next journal was The Fox. So Art Language, understandably, it was a project of the group Art and Language. And the successor of a journal was the journal The Fox. It was a first sort of sign of split of conceptual art as a movement. And this journal is probably the key art journal and one of the key theoretical turn points of the 20th century, because it manifests the split within conceptual art. With the idea of art's autonomy in the face of growing imperative of responding to political agendas. Exactly our question, in a way. Because I should remind Joseph Kossuth, who was behind the Fox, Sarah Charlesworth and Joseph Kossuth, so it was two founders of the journal, who said that one cannot understand fully conceptual art without keeping in mind that conceptual art was the war of Vietnam War era. So this is it, and journal in a way was an attempt, intellectual and artistic attempt to elaborate a sort of response to this. Few more pictures. Matthew, thanks. Yeah, and then this is very important. Actually, in a way, the source of a journal also is that tradition of conceptual art as principally graphic paper-based works. So it was the 60s when this idea came up that actually to make exhibition, it is enough to have like a few A4s and manila folders. So exhibition actually fits into manila folder. So this is, as an example, we collected here some Mel Bochner, conceptual artist, graphic works, which are sort of, in a way, journal illustration-like, but they are not illustrations. And they are projects, they are kind of drawn, written ideas. So this is art as idea. So this is the idea of the art as idea, right? So, and at the same time, we can go, if we go further, we can see that actually this art and a little bit further, idea became an installation. So this is how it works. Because like you cannot do anything without questioning and without idea. And this is in the very heart of art practice. This is our belief. And this is how actually thinking and posing the question opens the door to making art proper. Just not to wasting time, but to taking it as a sort of essential practice, despite we, of course, cannot compete with science, with the influence of science or of politics proper, or religion, or whatever. This is it. Thanks for this question.
Yeah, and I might just add one more thing about this idea of a ongoing discussion that comes with the journal. That the journal opens questions and continues to answer them, whereas Artist Book perhaps is focused on one subject and it's contained within the book. But the idea of the journal is that in the future and future editions of the journal will continue to discuss the questions that are opened by the subject of the journal. Yeah, or be influenced by the times that the journal lives through, like this issue, for example.
Please, a few more comments, and maybe we can continue with just wine personally between each other, informally, without.
Yeah, please.
Without stream.
Hello. Oh. Yeah, I wanted to ask, could you go a bit more deep into the question of that name, SHY Plumber? Because it's interesting. This whole the whole space and all the people in here, including me, I kind of feels shy, right? You guys sitting here, we are sitting here. It's like it's shy questions, shy answers. It's somehow fitting into this space. It's almost like the whole presentation chaos that happened earlier, the technical glitches, is also part of this shyness. Somehow, it feels like it. I don't know, even though it's accidental.
Perhaps I should ask: are there any plumbers here besides us?
Yeah, but by the way, the father of one of our contributors, who is like very famous Finnish artist, he really was a plumber. So it was a little bit shocking for our friend and colleague Jyrki Tsirkin when I told him what's the journal name. He was a plumber. Oh, okay, okay, my father was plumber.
Yeah, there's certain kind of relationship between plumbing and practice. So that's first consideration, that plumbing is a practical activity and art has this idea of practice at its core. But idea of shy plumber is going against the grain of the stereotype of what is the practice of plumbing, that it's not something that you should do with hesitation. It's it has some kind of certainty to it. So whereas art practice perhaps has the opposite, that it's takes a lot of contemplation and hesitation and mistakes and yeah, and I don't know if you want to give the anecdote of the visit of your plumber.
No. But you know what should be mentioned, of course, is that there is a first of all reference to Marcel Duchamp, I guess quite obvious, to his famous fountain work, and even in the journal Blind Man, the question posed: is it a piece of art or a piece of plumbing, right? And of course there's a sort of attempt to being obscene without being obscene, because we know these references of plumber as a sort of obscene character, right? And at the same time, shy is something that somehow how to say, cancels this. So it's a little bit like an anti-masculine thing, in a way. And yeah, and also working class.
Not spectacular, maybe not something not dominant, but it's very visual. Yeah.
Yeah, in a way, but in reality, it really stems from my real experience when I was told by it Helsinkian called Talamies, which is how it's called in German. Matthew, you told me it's like the person responsible for the house, housemaster. Housemaster, yeah. So there will be a plumber visiting the apartment I rented to check radiators. And yeah, I expected a plumber, and with a little bit like a sort of tension, yeah, because like probably some troubles going to happen or something. And there was like a really very nice, well-mannered, extremely shy person. Yeah. Yeah, asking me like, was sort of, is it all right if I move this chest of drawers a little? So yeah, it was quite striking, and it came to my mind it would be a good name for a rock band or something like this. Yeah, that's it. That's it about the name. Yeah, but you know, the name is a quite accidental thing. It's, you know, after some time, you know, it just loses its initial connotations and became just a name proper. Like speaking of rock bands, Nirvana, no one associated it with Buddhism or anything like that. We just imagined the voice of Kurt Cobain, and that's it. Maybe a few words from you, just your impression.
I came here because my friend suggested me to come, and I was too late to understand what it is about, but little bit I picked up, but not enough to ask the question. I'm happy to see that, to came here, and I'm happy that it's new journal, like as I understood, and this is a contemporary art journal, conceptual, and then it will be possible to buy it on internet, to read it on internet, yes. It's for free. That's wonderful. Okay. Yeah. Oh, with pleasure. Thank you.
Unfortunately, so it does not exist as does not exist as the proper number of copies. Oh. Maybe someday later, but you can easily read it online. So thank you so much. I guess we should wrap up the party.
Yeah, let's wrap up. I want to say thanks to everyone for your questions, contributions, and for sticking with us through our presentation, and for being here around the world. So, yeah, please, if you haven't yet downloaded your free copy of issue 3, you can also get issue 1 for free as well. Yeah. But issue 2 will be published after issue 3, so please don't be confused. But yeah, thanks very much to everyone. Thanks to Andre, Ilya, and I will also say thanks to me. So
to you.
Yeah, right. Thanks everyone.